joining us before this weekend's race at Daytona. We're going to take as many questions as we can in the time that we have with Tyler. If you have a question, friendly reminder to raise your hand within the Zoom platform. To kick us off with questions here this afternoon, we are going to start with Michael Shelton. Go ahead, Michael.
Thank you very much. Well, Tyler, last week's disappointing finish aside, here you are in your second year, and you have 26 laps led, but you also have a career high in top tens, and now you're in the position to possibly clinch a playoff berth in your sophomore season. I was just curious, what were your goals at the start of this year, and when you see yourself where you are right now, do they match with what you started with, what you hope to achieve at the start of the year, or do you still feel there's another level that you and your team can reach?
Oh, I think you're on mute. There you go. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. I would say for the last 20 weeks or so, things have been going really well. The first 6-7 races of our year got off to a really unfortunate start. They really, put us behind the ball, really hurt our, qualifying metric, if you will, and getting better starts. So we had to really claw out of that hole, and we were able to do that from about Bristol on, and that was about the time when things started to turn around for us. So since that time, it's been really great to see it turn around and get better. But nonetheless, we're in a spot now where we didn't quite have enough points without a win to lock ourselves in come Daytona. So we're in a tough spot, but the consistency's been there to do well in the playoffs if we do a good job this weekend and survive Daytona and make it into the playoffs. So we just got one more hurdle. Unfortunately, it's a big one with a lot of uncertainty going in, not just with who's going to be running at the end, but also in how much different the car is going to drive with a different horsepower amount, and so many drivers below the cut line that are all out of options. They are extremely desperate going into Daytona to do whatever it takes to win and lock themselves in as well.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, our next question is going to come from Dustin Long. Go ahead, Dustin.
Thank you. Hey, Tyler. You referenced a little bit with the changes for this weekend. How much might that impact things? Is there the feeling that if you're the leader, that it's going to make it a little bit easier to defend your position? I almost think back to last fall, the race last year, where I think you had Chris Buescher pushing you at the end, but I think you also had some of that damage, and that kind of made you a little bit vulnerable at the end. If this package is in place, could you have held on to the front spot a little bit more, maybe?
It's entirely unknown. I can't really say what it's going to drive like. I think we've seen in years past with more previous generation cars, the draft to be not as chaotic or as unpredictable. But where we were, for sure, runs would kind of appear out of nowhere, and once they would, develop, they were very large runs, and you could really take them really farther than any other, when I ran Xfinity or ran the Truck Series. The runs and how crazy the draft would be at times was not the same. So there's really nothing to go off of, I'd say. You can maybe look to the past some, but how the drivers approach these plate races, how much better, I'd say, the field in its entirety has gotten at racing on the super speedways, and how the spotters communicate and work with each of their drivers has evolved so much that, like, leaning back on previous races or previous experiences, or digging into the the files of some old races from the mid 2000s, I don't really know if it would really be of a benefit. So those that can really learn fast in this race, whether that's by playing it safe or being extremely aggressive, I don't know. The drivers that really race hard, I'd say, that do a lot of racing and put themselves in a lot of different situations in the beginning of the race, will have a pretty good idea what they can do and what to stay away from. But without practice, you don't find that out until the race. And there's a lot on the line for myself and all the drivers from 17th in the point standings all the way back. So lots going to go on the first, 15, 20 laps for a lot of us drivers, the whole field really.
How in your career, how did you accept the potential of wrecking at the end of a race, and when everybody's going after it, and being comfortable with making moves? Obviously, you've won races there at Daytona. Was that something that came easily, or was there always the uncertainty of what might happen in terms of an accident late, and how you kind of work through that?
Well, when I've won a Daytona, it's been the first race of the year, and you're just getting started. Yeah, the year that I won Daytona in the truck series, that was before stage racing for the trucks. That was before the playoff format, if you will, too. So every race really mattered, but it was the first race of the year. You don't really know how your year's going to shake up, so you're just out there racing hard. Same thing at Daytona when I won with Junior Motorsports. It was the first race of the year. We kind of had a crazy day to start the thing off. Our car wasn't even really running. So for me in those situations, there wasn't really any holding back. But in the Cup Series, it's just totally different. You got a lot of really good drivers out there that have been through the ranks and have won in other series truck and Xfinity, and have the laps and have the experience and know what to do and what to stay away from, and know what moves to not fall for. So with that being said, everyone races a lot harder because of that, and we can all get away with a lot more. But when the moment finally happens, when one mistake is made, or two drivers don't understand what the other is doing and end up in the same place, because we race so tight and packed up so well together, a lot of chaos unfolds.
Last thing is in referencing those wins at Daytona. What does it mean to win at Daytona? What would it mean to be able to, if you win this weekend, that would give you an Xfinity truck and a Cup victory at Daytona? What would that mean in terms of your career?
Well, I haven't kept up with it much in the last couple of years, but I believe, I don't think anyone has done that before, as far as last time I checked. And I never would have thought I would have won a number of races at Daytona, let alone one. To get my first truck series win there was great. My first win with Junior Motorsports there was great. The way that I got the Xfinity win was really crazy in itself, but it's something I've for a while I was keeping an eye on. It's still important to me. But racing in the Cup Series, you go to Daytona twice a year, and the amount that you prep for Daytona and how you prep for Daytona has always been a little bit different than what you prep for, the intermediates, the road courses, and short tracks. So it's still really important for me to get done. It's just a tough goal to totally go after, with everything else that's in the air with for our team right now. We gotta find a way to go about this race a number of different ways, depending on how it starts and how it's going, for ourselves, for Austin. And then at the very end, once we get past the first two stages, not only do we have to keep an eye on Austin, we have to keep an eye on, pretty much half the field. So it's going to be an interesting challenge. All the meanwhile, again, the car is totally different now too. So a lot's on our plate, but we're ready for the challenge. I was hoping we wouldn't be in this position coming into Daytona, but getting put through this experience like this, if we can overcome this, I think it will have us really prepared for the playoffs, and we'll be really, really ready to go. We'll feel like we conquered the first big mountain, and the next couple, arguably the next one after it won't be as severe. I could totally be wrong, but this is a lot of pressure on ourselves, RCR in general, and a lot of the field that isn't locked in.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, our next question will come from Bob Pockris. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, Tyler, is it difficult not to dwell on what happened on Sunday and the points you gave up?
It is a little bit, for sure. It would be very easy to immediately go right to that place and really, be negative and be down and be really caught up in the mistake and the points lost. But that was something that, when our year started off, we had bad race after bad race, and oh God, we're going to start 30th now. Great. Really let the downward spiral to the beginning of the year really get to us. It was nice to be able to go to the dirt race at Bristol, go in there and just, forget about how the year's gone. We thought we were going to do heat races and all that good stuff to set our starting position, which we didn't, but we were able to get through that race and push to the front all day. And, from that point on, we kind of just forgot about how the year had been up to that point. And based on how Indy went, we gave up points there as well, getting caught up in a wreck late at Indy. We gave up a good number of points the last 2 weeks at the very end of these races. It would be easy to just, be ripping hair out and freaking out. But the things that we have done up until these last 2 weeks and historically have been doing for many months now have all been very good. So these little things do happen and mistakes still are made. This was one of those mistakes that I made for sure. But the good thing is we're still plus 25. We're going to Daytona, which I've always really enjoyed to race. Have an incredible spotter. Always loved going to the super speedways with my spotter, Derek Nealon. So it would be nice to be sitting plus 50, but we're not negative 25. We're not, we're not totally out of it. So it's still very, very doable to at least cover the 25 points. It's certainly just going to be a little more interesting than it would have been if, we weren't caught up in a crash at the end.
And do you get really nervous? Like, is this a time like now where you can't sleep, or are you a guy who is able to just kind of remain calm in the moment?
I would say this moment, definitely. But I look at other moments in the past that, you could argue were pretty pressure filled and packed. But for me, honestly, in myself. Sorry about that. I muted myself. No, honestly, I'm not losing a lot of sleep. This is when you have the most important moments of your year, of your life coming up, the last thing you should do is not be sleeping and be worrying yourself to death. And the reason I'm not in that place, and I don't believe the rest of our team is in that place, is because of all the things we've done right up until this point. Yeah, for sure. Last 2 weekends weren't great for us, and they made things a little bit more challenging, but everything up until this point has been great. And we've been doing really, really well. And the work that I've been putting in, my team's been putting in, this is one of those big moments in our year. We've been preparing and working really hard to be able to, kick ass in moments like these. So that's going to be our goal going into this, is just, do what we've always been doing. And this isn't the time to freak out and start panicking and do something different and try and do more or whatever it might be. So the things that we've been doing right all year long are why we're here. And, it's no time to change anything. What we've been doing gives us confidence for the pressure packed Daytona race that we're going to have on Saturday.
Thank
you. Mm-hmm.
Okay, our next question will come from Nathan Solomon. Go ahead, Nathan.
Yeah, hey, Tyler, a couple questions. First off, I'm kind of interested on what you thought about using the resin last weekend at Michigan. Ryan Blaney said he kind of thought it was a nice balance, or a nice in-between having PJ1 and nothing at all there on the racing surface. So do you kind of agree with him? And just, do you think that that's something NASCAR should use more often going down the road on some of these intermediate tracks?
Well, I definitely think the venues and racetracks that we have used PJ1, I think resin, both on the concrete surface at Nashville, showed that it had promise. And then we saw, we got to use it at Michigan as well, and seeing how much different it was compared to what PJ1 has been like at Michigan in the past. It's very promising as well. So I definitely am excited to use it at the other tracks where we have used PJ1 in the past. So everything I saw was really promising. You could move around on it. It wasn't icy, before it got worked in. More grip available, when it hasn't been ran on, but it doesn't get so gripped up and ridiculous that you can't run anywhere but in the PJ1. So I thought that was a great gain with the resin, and they'll continue to as they obviously had a target they were shooting for to lay it down before the race. I'm sure they were out there looking at where it ended up at the end of our race on Sunday too, and after all the races. So sorry about that. But they'll definitely look at all that information. Guys like me and Blaney, it seems like he, like myself, really enjoyed what it did and what it had to offer at a place like Michigan. It kind of made it feel more like old school Michigan, which I always really wanted to race on it, but never got the opportunity to.
And then going into this weekend with a 25-point buffer, how aggressive do you feel you need to be? Do you feel you might need to be a little bit more cautious early on and avoid wrecks, or just kind of go for it and like any other race and try to get as many points as possible?
Well, it's all going to depend on how things are going for my teammate Austin. Honestly, we're both we're going to be starting around each other for sure. It's going to be interesting to see if he's able to. He will be able to if he wants to. How aggressive he will be in trying to charge to the front at the beginning of the race. That's going to kind of, it's going to be a constant moving target throughout the event on Saturday. We got 25 points to lean on. Now, do we only want to get in by 1 point over Austin? I don't think so. But again, we just have to maintain what we have. But we have 24 points to throw away if we really wanted to, but we don't want to. So it's going to constantly move. It's going to depend on how stage one goes for him and myself. And then, we'll have to think about it a little bit. And then, we have a plan in place for what's going to happen on Saturday with him. But, nonetheless, they could score 0 stage points, and we'll still have to be thinking about him and all the others behind him in the point standings in that third stage. As the finish creeps closer and closer, there's going to be so many drivers that have nothing to lose and everything to gain by winning that race, and it's going to make for a very chaotic finish to the regular season. As the laps wind down, drivers will get tired of being third in line on the top or the bottom, and it's going to get wild at some point in this race. So we're going to have to try and stay ahead of it, or be aware of it and keep our eyes out for it as well. We can't fight for the win if we're crashed out before we get to the white flag. So a lot's going to be on our plate to be keeping track of.
And then at what point does the whole teammate thing go out the window? Do you guys work with each other up until a certain point, or do you guys kind of just maybe avoid each other for the most part of the track for the race?
Well, yeah, it's a difficult thing, right? We've worked together so much throughout this entire year to make our cars better at a lot of these racetracks, setup wise, working on our driving techniques. There's a lot of things we've been working on, but when we go into Daytona, unfortunately, I can't really help Austin, and he can't really help me without hurting the other's chances of making the playoffs. That's just the unfortunate situation that we are presented with. So we're going to be pretty similar on the builds on our race cars. Our cars are probably going to work. I would imagine they'll work pretty good together. But it's a difficult thing. As much as we'd love to work together and be up front and control the race, it's just not really an option for us. I can't push him to the win and still make the playoffs, and he can't push me to the win and still make the playoffs. So it's just an unfortunate spot for us to be at right now. But we're both gonna know by the end of the race on Saturday. It's just a tough spot to be in for this whole RCR organization at the moment.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're going to take our next question from Cole. Go ahead, Cole.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you for your time, Tyler. Kind of going off that last question, given both yours and Austin's position in the standings, was there like a team meeting, or have you guys talked to each other about how to approach this race and working together and such?
Well, we can't, honestly. I'm in, he's out. There's a 25-point gap. Anything I do to help him hurts me. Anything he does to help me hurts him. So we really can't work together at all, unfortunately. I guess at the end of the day, if I had to pick, I still want an RCR car to be in the playoffs over anybody else, obviously. And he feels the exact same way about that. But for him to do everything for his team to get in the playoffs, he can't be helping the 8 and I can't be helping the 3, right? So it's kind of a weird spot, but for sure, I know without even, don't even have to ask him. I know where he stands because I'm the same way. We want an RCR car to be in the playoffs this year. And so it's just a difficult place to be in because, you know, we're not obviously not going to go out there and screw each other over, because then neither one of us will make the playoffs potentially if someone new wins. So it's just a very complex situation. But yeah, I mean, that's just kind of the way it'll have to be Saturday night.
Thank you. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
All right. Tyler, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it, and we wish you the best of luck this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, everybody.